My name is Elena Marsh, and I was 19 years old when I found out my college fund was gone. Not stolen by a stranger, not lost in a bad investment, given away by my own parents to my brother. While I was sitting in a financial aid office being told my tuition payment had not arrived. That was a Tuesday in September. I remember because I had a 9 a.m. chemistry lab and I missed it. I sat in that office for 2 hours while a woman named Carol, with reading glasses on a beaded chain, made phone calls I could not hear the other end of. She slid a printed statement across the desk. Balance due, $14,200. I looked at the number. Then I called my mother. She picked up on the second ring. "Mom, my tuition hasn't been paid." Silence. The kind that has a shape. "Elena, we need to talk." Not "we already paid it." Not "there must be a mistake." "We need to talk." That was how I found out. Not with an apology, not with an explanation, with 4 words that told me everything before she said anything at all. This is a place where we share stories of quiet strength, family truth, and the kind of justice that doesn't need to raise its voice. If this one hits close to home, drop a comment below and make sure you're subscribed. Because what happens 4 years later at my brother's wedding rehearsal dinner is something I still cannot tell without my hands going still. Before the fund, before Carol and her reading glasses and the balance due sheet, before any of it, let me tell you who we were. My parents, Robert and June Marsh, met in college. That detail matters. They met in college, and they will tell you that story at every dinner table, every holiday gathering, every moment when someone asks how they fell in love. Robert had a scholarship. June had a partial grant and worked weekends at a campus diner. They scraped. They budgeted. They graduated with almost nothing and built something anyway. That story was secret in our house. It was the origin myth. The proof that education was everything, and family made it possible. They told that story to me and my brother Daniel so many times that I could recite it from memory by the time I was 10. Education is the one thing no one can take from you. Your father and I sacrificed so you would never have to choose. We started your college funds the year you were born. I believed them. I had no reason not to. Daniel is 3 years older than me. He was the first to everything. First to drive, first to date, first to leave for college. He went to state on a partial athletic scholarship for baseball, and the rest was covered, my parents told me, by his college fund. 2 years in, Daniel blew out his knee, lost the scholarship, took a medical leave, came home for a semester. My parents covered the gap. Of course they did. He was hurt. That was what you did. What I did not know then was that covering the gap meant emptying his fund. And when his fund ran dry, they looked at mine. I did not know this. I want to be clear about that. I had no idea. I was a junior in high school when Daniel came home with his knee in a brace. I brought him ice packs. I watched games with him on the couch because he couldn't stand to watch them alone. I thought we were close. I thought I knew what was happening in our house. I did not know about the second conversation, the one my parents had at the kitchen table 3 weeks after Daniel came home. The one where my father said, "We have to make this right for him." The one where my mother said, "Elena's fund is still intact." The one where neither of them picked up the phone to call me. I was 16. I was making honor roll. I was already researching biochemistry programs and writing practice college essays in a notebook I kept under my bed. I had a plan. I had always had a plan. They had a different one. Here is what I did not know for 3 more years. Daniel went back to school the following semester, finished his degree, graduated, got a job in sales, moved into an apartment 40 minutes from home. Life continued. My parents never mentioned the fund. Not when I started my college applications, not when the acceptance letters came in. Not when I chose Northfield University and signed the enrollment forms at the kitchen table while my mother cried and said she was so proud. Not once. My father drove me to campus in August, helped me carry boxes up 3 flights of stairs because the elevator was broken, shook my hand at the car. He always shook my hand instead of hugging me. I don't know why. He hugged Daniel. He had always hugged Daniel. But with me, it was always the handshake. Formal, a little distant, like he respected me more than he knew what to do with. "Drive safe," I said. He nodded. "Work hard," he said. Then he got in the car.
Then September came, and I sat in Carol's office with a printed statement and a balance due, and my mother's 4 words: "We need to talk." I drove home that weekend. 4 hours. I had borrowed Priya's car because I didn't have one. I did not tell her why I needed it. I just said family stuff, and she handed me the keys. My parents were both home, sitting at the kitchen table when I walked in, together, like they had been waiting, like they had rehearsed. My father had his hands flat on the table. My mother had a cup of tea she was not drinking. I had seen this arrangement before, when they told me our dog had died, when they told me my grandmother was sick. The kitchen table was where our family delivered news it didn't know how to speak standing up. I sat down across from them. I did not take off my jacket. "Where is my college fund?" My mother looked at my father. My father looked at the table. "Elena, we made a decision 2 years ago, when Daniel lost his scholarship." I waited. "We used some of yours to cover his gap." Some. That was the word my father chose. Some. I looked at him. "How much?" He didn't answer. "Mom, how much?" "All of it." My mother said it quietly. The way you say something when you've been dreading saying it for so long that the actual moment of saying it is almost a relief. All of it. $14,200. I had done the math already in Carol's office. 3 years of deposits, birthday money transferred in, the small bonds my grandparents had given me every Christmas since I was born, cashed out and redirected. All of it. I did not yell. I want you to know that. I am telling you that not to make myself sound noble, but because it is true and because it matters to how this story ends. I sat at that kitchen table with my jacket still on, and I asked the only question that felt real. "Did you ever plan to tell me?" My father cleared his throat. "We were going to. We just needed to figure out how to handle the gap first." "What gap?" "The gap between what we gave Daniel and what we could give you." "There is no gap anymore," I said. "You gave him everything." My mother's eyes filled. "Elena, he was hurt. He needed us. You were doing so well." "I was doing well because I thought I had a foundation. I thought there was something underneath me." There wasn't. My father's jaw tightened. "We will figure it out. There are loans." Loans. Yes. I stood up. I put my hands flat on the table the same way he had. I looked at him directly, the way he had taught me to look at people when something important was being said. "You told me my whole life that education was the one thing no one could take from you. You took mine." I drove back to campus that night, 4 hours in Priya's car with the radio off and my hands steady on the wheel, because shaking wasn't something I could afford. I had a chemistry lab at 8 the next morning. I had a balance due notice in my bag. I had a plan that no longer existed, and a new one I hadn't built yet. If you have ever been told you were the strong one right before someone took something from you, stay with me. because what I built in the next 4 years is the part of this story that still makes my chest hurt. Not from pain, from the specific ache of looking back at how far you carried something no one else could see.
I called the financial aid office Monday morning. I applied for emergency grants, need-based aid, a work-study position in the biology department, and 2 outside scholarships before noon. Carol, the woman with the reading glasses, walked me through every option with the patience of someone who had done this before. Not for rich kids who lost their money, for kids like me, kids whose foundations had been quietly removed while they were busy looking forward. I got the grants. I got the work study. I won one of the scholarships. I took out federal loans for the rest. I calculated to the dollar what I needed each semester, and I did not go over. I worked 12 hours a week in the biology department, washing equipment and cataloging samples, and sometimes just sitting with the centrifuges, because the sound of them spinning was oddly steady, and I needed steady things. I did not tell Priya the details. I told her I had a financial situation, and she said, okay, and never brought it up again. That is a specific kind of friendship, the kind where someone understands that sometimes you just need the room to be normal. I did not go home for Thanksgiving that year. I told my parents I had work. I did have work. I also had 4 days of uninterrupted silence and a library that was nearly empty, and a lot of thinking to do about what I owed people who had borrowed from me without asking.
Daniel called in November. He had heard, I assumed from my parents, that there was a situation with my tuition. He called on a Sunday evening while I was studying. Hey, so Mom told me some stuff happened with your school stuff? School stuff. Yeah, I just wanted to say, if you need anything, like if you need to borrow some money or whatever, I can probably help. I held the phone for a moment. Daniel, do you know where my college fund went? Silence. Mom said there was a mix-up with the accounts. It wasn't a mix-up. They gave it to you when you lost your scholarship. More silence. Longer this time. I didn't know that, he said. And I believed him. That is the thing about Daniel. He was not calculating. He was not cruel. He was just the one they chose. He didn't choose it. He just never questioned it either. I know, I said. I hung up. We didn't talk again for 7 months. I finished my freshman year with a 3.8 GPA, a work-study contract renewed for the fall, and enough scholarship money to cover 60% of my sophomore tuition. I went home for a week in June. My parents and I moved around each other carefully, like people in a small kitchen who have both reached for the same drawer. My parents glowed at that party. My mother cried during the toast. My father put his arm around Daniel and said, "This is what it's all for." The room clapped. I clapped. I stood in a room full of people celebrating my brother's next chapter, and I thought about Carol's office and the balance due statement and 4 years of work-study shifts and loan calculators and stipends stretched to the last dollar. I graduated that May. Biochemistry degree, honors distinction, a job offer already accepted at a research firm 40 miles from campus. Dr. Reyes wrote me a reference letter she said she would use as a template for every strong candidate after me. I walked across the stage in the rain, because it was May, and it always rains in May, and I shook the dean's hand, and I thought, no one paid for this. I did. My parents came to graduation. They sat in the 3rd row. My mother wore a blue dress. My father took photographs on his phone. After the ceremony, my mother hugged me for a long time. She whispered, "We are so proud of you." My father shook my hand. Then he hugged me. First time. I don't know if he knew what he was acknowledging. Maybe nothing. Maybe everything. I held it for a second and then let go. The rehearsal dinner was in October, 6 months after my graduation. Daniel and Melissa had planned a small wedding, 80 guests, a venue outside the city, and a rehearsal dinner the night before at my parents' house. 30 people, catered. My mother had been planning it for months. I arrived at 6. The house was full. Melissa's parents, her sister, a handful of Daniel's college friends, aunts and uncles I saw twice a year. My cousin Rachel, who is 2 years older than me and has always paid attention to the things other people miss, found me in the kitchen within 10 minutes. "You okay?" She said it quietly, the way she always says it, like she already knows the answer and is giving me permission to confirm it.
"I'm good," I said. I meant it. Mostly. Dinner was served at 7. My mother had ordered from the Italian place on Elm Street, the one she only used for special occasions. The table was set with the good china, candles, a centerpiece of white roses. Everything intentional, everything lovely. I sat between Rachel and my Aunt Patricia. I ate the pasta, I drank 1 glass of wine. I listened to stories about Daniel and Melissa and how they met and how he proposed and how Melissa's mother had cried happy tears for 20 minutes. Then my father stood up for the toast. He held his glass and looked around the table with the expression he wore when he was about to say something he had been composing for a while. He talked about Daniel's childhood, his first baseball game, age 6, swung at everything and missed every pitch and laughed every time. He talked about his knee injury and how watching Daniel fight through that was one of the proudest moments of his life. He talked about Melissa and what she had brought into the family. He talked about legacy and what it meant to build something that lasted. He did not mention me. I want to be precise about that. I was sitting at the table. I had graduated with honors 6 months earlier. I was his daughter. And in a 5-minute toast at a dinner in the house I grew up in, I was not mentioned once. Rachel's hand found mine under the table. She did not say anything. She just pressed once and held. I did not cry. I want to be clear about that, too. I sat at that table and I listened to my father talk about legacy, and I thought about 4 years of chemistry labs and work-study shifts and loan statements and stipends and 1 fellowship that changed everything. I thought about Dr. Reyes and the reference letter. I thought about Priya and soft-serve ice cream at 10 o'clock on a Tuesday. I thought about Carol, with her reading glasses and her patience, and the way she walked me through every option without making me feel like I was asking for something I should already have had. And then I stood up. I had not planned this. I want to be honest about that. I had no prepared remarks. I had no notes. I had 4 years of something I had been carrying quietly, in a room full of people who deserved to understand what they were celebrating. I held my glass. "Dad, that was a beautiful toast. I mean that." He looked at me, surprised, not alarmed, just surprised. "I want to add something, if that's okay." The table quieted. Melissa smiled at me from across the flowers. Daniel watched me with an expression I recognized, the one he wore when he wasn't sure what was coming, but trusted me enough to wait. 4 years ago, I sat in a financial aid office at Northfield and found out my college fund was gone. I said it calmly, the way Dr. Reyes taught me to present findings. Lead with the fact. Let the room absorb it. Someone shifted in their chair. An aunt. I did not look over. My parents had transferred my fund to cover Daniel's gap when he lost his scholarship. I understand why they did it. He needed help, and I wasn't there to ask. But I also wasn't told. And I want to say clearly, in this room, that I do not hold that against Daniel. He didn't know. And I don't hold it against my parents in the way that poisons things. I hold it the way you hold any true thing.
carefully, honestly. I looked at my father. He was very still. What I want to say is this: I paid for my own education. Every dollar. Grants, scholarships, Yerk study, loans I am still paying back. I did it in 4 years. I graduated with honors. I have a job I earned. And I did it because you raised me to believe that education was the one thing no one could take from you.
I paused. You were right. Even when you took mine, you were right. Because I went and rebuilt it. And it is mine in a way that cannot be borrowed or redirected or given to someone else. It is mine because I built it with my own hands. I raised my glass. To Daniel and Melissa, may what you build together be yours in exactly that way. The room was quiet for a moment. Then Melissa started clapping. Then Rachel. Then it spread, the way things spread when people have been holding something and are finally given permission to release it. Daniel looked at me from across the table. His eyes were wet. He mouthed something I could not hear. My father sat with his hands flat on the table, the same way he always sat when something important was happening. My mother was crying, silently, into her napkin. I sat down. Rachel leaned over. That was the bravest thing I have ever seen at a dinner table. I don't know if it was brave. I think it was just accurate. And accuracy, delivered calmly in a room full of people who love you and have been pretending not to notice, is sometimes the only justice that matters. After dinner, my father found me in the kitchen. I was helping clear plates, because that is what I do. He stood in the doorway for a moment. Then he walked over and stood next to me. We cleared plates side by side without speaking for 2 full minutes. Then he said, "I owe you more than an apology." "I know," I said. "I don't know how to give it yet." "I know that too." He picked up a stack of plates, carried them to the sink, set them down carefully. "You are the strongest person I have ever raised," he said, "and I think I used that against you." I looked at him. He was not crying. He was just standing there with the particular stillness of a man who has finally said the true thing and does not know what to do with the space it leaves behind. "I know," I said again. Because I did. And because knowing it, naming it, hearing him name it, was enough for that night. Not for everything, but for that night. Daniel called me the next morning before the wedding. I was at the hotel getting ready with Rachel. "Elena, I had no idea about the fund. I want you to know that." "I know, Daniel. I believe you. I'm going to pay you back. Half, at least half. Whatever I can." "You don't have to do that." "I want to. It wasn't right, and I want to make it right." We were quiet for a moment. "Don't be late to your own wedding," I said. He laughed. The same laugh he had when he was 8 and I was 5, and we used to build forts out of couch cushions and call them castles. Some things hold, even when other things don't. I got my first loan repayment check from Daniel 8 months later. Regular, monthly, no drama, no announcement. Just a transfer with a note that said, "Toward the balance." He has sent one every month since. My parents and I are still finding our way back to each other. It is slow. It is honest in a way we never were before. My mother called me last spring to ask how the job was going, and we talked for an hour. Not about Daniel, not about the fund. Just about my work and her garden and a book she was reading. An ordinary phone call. The kind that would have seemed impossible 4 years ago. My father sent me a card for my 24th birthday. Inside, he wrote 4 words. "I see you, Elena." I put it in the notebook, next to the acceptance letter, next to the scholarship notice, next to the sentence Dr. Reyes wrote about me that I copied down because I needed to keep it somewhere safe. Some things you build alone,
Some things get taken. Some things you rebuild better than they were. That is my story. A college fund, a kitchen table, and a toast that said what needed saying. If this reminded you of your own quiet strength, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe, drop a comment, and I will see you in the next one.